Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And Haven just ended. We saw Version1 just do their thing against Cloud9. So now here on the desk, I'm going to be your host, Veli, here with Bach and Silly to break everything down. We're going to find out if Cloud9 Blue just has what it takes. Next is going to be, yes, on Ascent to make a comeback to go to the tiebreaker round. So let's break down the game a little bit. And Silly, you were intrigued about the Viper play that we saw with Whippy.
Exactly. I mean, we just watched Version1 play against Envy. It went into overtime, 14-12, and you had Whippy playing as a Killjoy. But this time, he whipped out a Viper in play. And I do like it, because they like playing towards this A-long control. Cloud9 likes to do that at the same time. But in the meta right now also, where post plans are super important with Astra in the game, on the B side, to have that Viper wall come across towards the defender spawn, towards the attacker spawn across the window, also helps sets up Version1 on retake scenarios. So I like that kind of play. On the attack, he was also able to prevent Lee from getting those flanks over towards long A, because there's always that toxic screen that comes out. And if they ever want to hit towards that A side, then that toxic screen also adds that little gap inside the A choke point, or the graffiti side, for a player to hide in there. So I do like the little intricacies and changes that Version1 brought into this just by adding Whippy on that Viper. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why maybe threw C9 Blue off guard and suffering such a big loss.
You know what? I think that's something else called Cloud9 off guard, and I think it had to do with aggression. Take a look at the stats right now. Nobody went positive on the side of Cloud9, right? But look at Version1. Everyone ate up. Everyone had a say in this win, right? And I'm thinking about the end of the map, Bach, where Version1, they came out with so much aggression there, right? Cloud9 looked like they tried to force the fight in the sewers. Zeta pushes right after, Reyna gets a kill. And there's information that there's still players down there, and you lose your Sova immediately. They were throwing bodies in the line of fire, and I think that if they want to be aggressive next map, Box, especially on Ascent, they're going to have to really bring that gunplay.
Well, you know, the crazy thing is, too, we were talking about it coming into today, that Leaf is one of the more aggressive players that's actually playing in this event, but Leaf was effectively neutralized by the way that Version1 played. Leaf ends up finishing 10-18, 116 ADR, 186 ACS. It's not exactly the numbers we expect to see, and we talked about it before. The amount of map control that Leaf typically gains by using his paint shell super aggressively, it feels like we just didn't see that. I think DDK touched on it best. He said it didn't feel like Cloud9 really got a chance to play. They couldn't get their foot in the door.
True.
The money never really stabilized. They were constantly on the back foot. It was just really tough for Cloud9. The problem is, and we talked about this during the break, or actually before the game went live, Haven was where this map would get, or this series would get decided, because Haven was the map that would determine whether or not this would go 3 maps. I think that Ascent is a map that favors Version1. I think based on what we've seen from them thus far, I think Version1 will be the team that takes Ascent. Now, obviously, that could change, but we thought, okay, Cloud9 wins Haven, Version1 wins Ascent, it goes a split, and it probably goes Cloud9's way. But now I'm not so sure we'll even get to split.
Well, hopefully we do, because we're going to need players like Zeta, Leaf, Poise is definitely on Reyna to step up big time. Yeah, players like Zelsis, Whippy, and even Penny on Jet to be able to create space and get loose with whatever ultimates or guns that they have in their arsenal. It's going to be really hard to come by. So, Silly, we all heard from Bach what he expects on Ascent. You believe that this might be game over for Cloud9 as well?
There's a possibility that it might be game over here, Veli. At the same time, before we started this series too, Bach mentioned that, you know, Version1 are actually facing a juggernaut in Cloud9. But I do remember Cloud9 also trying to build something similar in Counter-Strike called a Colossus. We know what happened to that too, right? So let's see what happens with Version1. Can they get this upset right now versus Cloud9?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to throw it over to 2 amazing casters I love. And you know what, Doug? You're one beautiful Colombian. I love you too, man. So DDK and Doug, take it away.
Thank you, Valley Dan. It was a proper shellacking that we just saw on Haven, but you know, maybe we'll get a little something different on Ascent, given what you just saw on the first map, given what we know about Cloud9 and just how good they can be, how fundamentally they check all the boxes, they do everything right. What are your thoughts going into this next map?
Yeah, I think you know, they can look back on Haven and feel like that was just, you know, that was just an opening map that was a bit scuffed. You know, there's a lot of opportunities that those key moments that just didn't quite go their way. They didn't win some of the early clutches. We talked about the thrifty. I think there's a lot for them to be like, yeah, we can just shake this one off. Like, even though the scoreline suggests that it wasn't a close game, and you know, not to take away from version 1, I feel like they got some excellent reads. However, going into Ascent, you know, this is a map that's going to play similarly in terms of, you know, how you're going to work your attack, how you're going to try to bait out the rotations, how you're going to try to capitalize on the early round timings, whereby you say, okay, we're going to try to keep winning control in this part of the map. You have to react to that. And you know, this is something that version 1, I feel like they did a pretty good job of dealing with Cloud9's defense with using this conditioning on their attack. And it felt like Cloud9 didn't quite have the room to work with when they were in that position, because they struggled on that first half so much. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, Cloud9 having more emphasis around aggressively dealing with the extremities of the map. That's going to be a huge focus for me. And I think that it's something that, you know, if they get, you know, just a little bit more luck going their way, I think we're going to see a super competitive Ascent here, and I'm really looking forward to this.
It's going to be a good one. And again, for Cloud9, this is do or die. You drop this map, Iceland's off the table, while version 1 not only punches their ticket to Iceland, but also tee themselves up for a date with Sentinels in the grand finals tomorrow. It looks like there's a bit of a visual glitch going on right now. Vanity has indeed picked Astra, but we just don't see that right now, so we should be just a few moments from entering Ascent. Again, version 1's going to be starting off on the attack. The main narrative that we saw, Dan, was defensively how version 1 was really able to suffocate Cloud9. That's really what it felt like was happening in a couple of those rounds. And now that they're going to be starting off on attack, I think one of the things that bodes well for version 1 is how they were able to manipulate the defenders when they were on attack, but that was a really small sample size. You give Cloud9 a bit more room to work with, and this could be a different story.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm looking forward to seeing. You know, I'd love to see Cloud9 get off to a good start here and get some room to play with, but you know, we'll see how this pistol develops and if that will be the way the story starts. Version 1, putting that emphasis on the A lobby control to begin with. You can see the emphasis placed on Zealous farming these ultimate orbs. Again, you know, we've seen how important this is. It's such an important ultimate to have, that run it back can be used so effectively to open so many different plays, having that extra life. So that's huge, and that's an early win for version 1. And you know, it looks like they're going to try to get Zealous on the other ultimate orb as well. That's also, again, that you know, there's not many maps where you can do it as easily as Ascent. Yeah. So it's great to see that version 1 are taking advantage of this, and they will still have enough time that they can reset the situation and kind of go wherever they want. So as far as Cloud9 are concerned, you can see they're playing off of the B site. They're playing retake on B because they know that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to try to stop that and still have a good mid and A rotation. So that's the sacrifice they're making. And again, for version 1, oh, actually, as I said, that Doug, you know, Leaf, he's tired of this. He wants to get some information, and he's found it.
Yeah, you can see, like, fine, you guys take all that room, but an excellent response from Leaf, as you mentioned, to just work his way up the middle of the map, get some info, right? Got tagged up a bit, but gets away with his life, and that's going to force V1, which at this point they had everything they wanted. Now they're able to draw some attention, but the problem is, Dan, there are only 15 seconds left in the round. They're going to have to move with a serious sense of urgency, and that seems to be what's working out so far. But they still haven't gotten onto the site. Now they're starting to get the spike down. Floppy looking to go aggressively. The spike does go down. He gets around the corner, gets the kill, and they're going to get the defuse. Yeah, V1 got the orbs on both sides. Yeah, they drew out utility, but Cloud9 get the first round.
And interestingly, you know, a couple kills, a spike plant, you know, for that bonus cash. Definitely not disappointing for version 1. And even though the clock did run down quite far there, they did have just enough time to get that plant. So I do like that they took their time on this one, and we'll see how it actually ends up playing out when we see them finally, you know, getting. Okay, I was wondering if we would see an investment like this. So yeah, version 1, after they got the spike down, that extra bonus cash allows them to have a stronger force here, and they're going to really go hard against Cloud9. And it's going to be difficult for Cloud9 to hold a full rush against all of these SMGs.
Gonna have to try. You saw Zelsis tap the orb and then have to step back. Gonna hop right back up. Once again, getting a step closer to that run it back, which is now just 1 point away from having that online. Certainly ahead of schedule. Once again, V1 looking to exploit the middle of the map. Leaf was not aggressively working his way through this time around. That's all they've got so far. It actually looks like it's Mitch who's going to try to get some info just on the other side. He does have a Spectre of his own. But my goodness, Dan, once that Cloud goes down, oh, it might not even get a chance. Celsius drops. Effie's is able to trade it out with the Frenzy, no less. Now you see that utility being used. Now they know where the play is.
Yeah, this is beautiful as well, like getting rid of that mid utility. Again, they know that they will have pulled rotation here, so yeah, they have Vanity towards A. He's actually trying to play the lurk. Oh, that's unfortunate. Vanity getting caught in the lurk there. That's going to force the action towards B, and this is very readable for Cloud9. Zeta playing in spawn there, trying to just wait and cover the cross, but that's going to leave Leaf alone on the site now. And, oh, he gets the dismiss off in time to reset. I don't think he's going to survive this, though. Spraying for dear life, and Poise is actually going to save him, and Cloud9 will stay 3 strong at the end of the round. It's not bad.
No, not bad at all. And even for V1, you kind of see Leaf in that position, and you think, surely they're going to check that, right? Like you're gonna check that 50. There's no way you go through that unchecked, but Leaf bought himself just enough time, as you said, for Poise to show up and save the day. So for Cloud9, given Version1 invested a little bit more because of the additional funds they were able to acquire, Cloud9 seemed to handle that just fine.
And this is the start you probably wanted to see, especially if you're a Cloud9 fan, but ooh. All right. Gotta respect the LMG. That's 1 player down on the side of Version1. That's always really nice. You know, ooh, I was gonna say that you gotta be careful not to give the Sheriffs open battles. You already got the man advantage. It's not necessarily something you want to give to them, just because no matter how confident you are, that's the only way they can win the round. If you think of it, frame it like this: what is the only way that Version1 can get into the round with a bunch of Sheriffs? It's by if you peek them. But if you force them to move through choke points, move into a site, plant a spike, they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
They may be in some trouble here. You mentioned forcing them through a choke point. There it is. You push your way through. You get met with the Bucky Shell to the face at the hands of Poise. Penny drops. He tries to back up, but no. Gives the illusion that he's done with the fight, but continues to step forward. That's going to give him away. The curveball's going to come through as well. Cloudburst trying to keep him alive as Elsis works his way onto the site. He does have that run it back, as we mentioned. Can't imagine him wanting to use it in a situation like this, but this has already been a lot more damage than Cloud9 bargained for. They've already dropped 2. Zeta's a bit weak as well. This round is far from over, Dan.
Definitely, and it's going to be really tough. Oh, nice shot from Vanity, and it's starting to look pretty damn bad. Version1 are crushing it with the Sheriffs, and ooh, I'm telling you, man, it's very easy to want to peek, to get that little cheeky mid peek. I've got that confidence, I've got better weaponry, but all it takes is 1 shot from a Sheriff, and that's 1 kill. And then the second kill is something that is not too difficult to find, because you, as the attacking players, you can force like a 4-man attack still in that situation against 1 player, and that's what happens. And if you get that kill suddenly, as we saw, you got a workable round. So Cloud9, not really doing well in some of these anti-eco situations so far in this series.
Keep in mind, again, Zelsis has to run it back. He's got a Phantom in tow this time around. Can't say the same about the rest of his team, but if they continue to neglect the middle of the map, Leaf is going to continue to punish it. He gets the first pick. Yeah, it got traded out, but now we can see what Zelsis and V1 can do on the site. Run it back offline already, as it gets popped instantly.
Yeah, trying to force the issue. 3v3, though. Again, lots of time left here. They don't have to commit to this. They have lost, of course, all map control. So they have to think to themselves, all right, there could be a C9 player basically anywhere around middle spawn. So they do have to check things, but they have time to do it. So that makes it okay. And you can see Zelsis is checking absolutely everything. But will they check that back generator here? Mitch is sitting in this position. Oh no, it's
no way.
That is unbelievable that he gets 2 from that. That is robbery. Daylight robbery there from Mitch. And with that, every chance to win the round, of course, comes crumbling quickly afterwards. And that's going to be 3-1 in favor of Cloud9, and now it's Version1's time to be back on the pistols, it would seem.
A couple rounds ago, it was Leaf. This time it was Mitch. Again, for V1, there seems to be a problem in not checking these tight corners when creeping around the middle of the map. They've been punished for it twice. V1 find themselves down 2 rounds as Cloud9 comes off on a much better start than we saw in Haven. They're going to have full rifles here. And much like has been the case for V1 the majority of the map, they're in this weird buy, right, where you've got a couple of rifles, but Sheriff's Frenzy's the rest of the way.
Yeah, and it's I love the cute setup there as well. The shock dart with the gravity well does whiff though, but Version1 have no confirmation on that, so they might assume that they actually got some value from that. So that would be a lot of damage from the shock dart if it would have landed. But Poise here with the knives is looking to defend tree, is forced back. This is great. Early round pressure from Version1 has won them a lot of space on the map. And at this point right now, Cloud9 don't really know what's going on. They have no vision B main. They've got no vision in mid. They've lost tree. And you can see the respect from this in the defender rotation on the minimap. Oh, okay. And this is the Hunter's Fury to try to get an entry onto the site, get information. But it's a little bit tense here, Doug, because nothing really comes to that. They're going to have to force the issue instead.
Not at all. You can see as soon as he dropped that dart, he pulled out the Hunter's Fury expecting to get something. In fact, comes up empty-handed, but Penny's going to work his way onto the side. Penny good for 1 and a second as well. He's going to get caught with his pants down as Zeta's the one who cleans him up. 30 seconds left in the round. Zelsis continuing to work his way forward. V1 have not gotten onto the site. Now the Spike's going to follow up Leaf in a 1v2. Certainly a winnable 1v2. He's got full armor. What he doesn't have at this point is the element of surprise, and there's a turret spotting him out as well. He's going to clean that up. First Lear goes out. Leaf playing quietly, waiting to see if he's going to get a chance at someone to peek him. But Version1, patient, disciplined right now, not giving him an opportunity to do anything. Leaf has to go in aggressive. A Sheriff to the face cleans up the round for V1.
I love it. That was a great attack. This was such a great example of what happens when you play this attack, you win the early position, and we saw that they were able to deny any early A main aggressions from the defenders, from Cloud9. So Cloud9 are then in this position where they've given that extremity up, and then they have no information. And then they further lose tree. They have nothing. The rotation comes towards A, but they have no idea where to set up. And so Version1 were expertly exploiting that fact. And that's going to encourage Cloud9, I think, to be a little bit more aggressive, possibly be main or mid in the next buy round. We'll have to see, because as everybody can see who's watching right now, this is not a full buy round. This is a hodgepodge collection of, you've got a couple of frenzies, a Marshall, a Spectre. It's definitely desperate times, but they got this setup around market.
That utility combo, man, that would suck. The Nano Swarm, or excuse me, the Alarm Bot into the Nano Swarm with the Gravity Well. Mitch gonna get flashed up. Somehow doesn't get punished for it. But Zelsis does clean up Poise. So the middle of the map continuing to be exploited. And Dan, can you tell me the last time you casted a game where you find yourself 6 rounds into the map and we still haven't seen a full rifle round from both teams? It's been busted economies from both sides the entire time.
Yeah, definitely a sign of a very interesting game. Lots of damage being done both ways, and this round still looks like anyone's here. There's 30 seconds to go, so Version1 have to make the move. They're the team, of course, with the advantage in terms of weaponry. We can see Celsius has to run it back, and is he going to try to find a spot to pop this? 20 seconds now. They might try to run. I mean,
they don't have time.
20 seconds. There was the timing that they could have gone back, but you can see they're not going to go for it. But they
Whippy's got to go
the seed of doubt.
Whippy had to go big there. Yeah, he got one, but that might have just been enough time for V1 because now they've gotten onto the site. They're going to get the spike down as well. Hunter's Fury coming out from Zeta. See if he can tag anything up. No, the spike goes down. Vanity gets popped in the mouth at the hands of Leaf. It gets traded out. 2v2 here. Floppy does have the Cosmic Divide. Zelsis choosing to go aggressive, and much like a showstopper, you have to respect it, but they go in aggressive. Zelsis is running back, is offline as Effie dances around. Effie's good for 1. 8 health left, not able to get it as the clip runs dry, and Floppy wins the round for Cloud9.
Oh, and we're starting to see it actually going Cloud9's way. I mean, we saw this on the first map, right? These spots, version 1 were coming out on top time and again, and these are just like such marginal scenarios, which we're seeing it go down to the last man. I mean, you commented on it. Nobody has money. And that just is a testament to how close some of these rounds are between these two teams. And also, version 1, because they've been getting their opponents so close to the brink of economic collapse, they're in spots where they're like, well, we're not going to save. If we can force buy, we're going to force buy. And we have this back and forth battle, and now we're into another mostly rifle by a couple of Spectres here for version 1. We're going to see them opening up onto that B main control. I love this again because, as I was saying, I feel like there is an expectation that's reasonable that C9 want to take E main as the extremity because they've seen so much util from version 1 around A main. Indeed, version 1, they're actually going to reap the rewards to at least get the ult orb, and Mitch is looking ready to completely stuff a push if they try to pop anything here, because of course we see a lot of ultimates on both sides. And so if version 1 pop any ult, there can be an immediate lockdown in response to try to just get that ult versus ult value going in favor of C9.
And for a moment, I thought there'd be a little something where V1 can draw up some noise and it just be a bait, right? But no, it looks like they do want to stick it this way. The first lockdown has been used. No Hunter's Fury from Zeta to mess things up, as Mitch just patiently holds his, waiting to potentially really give him access on the site and then catch him up. He's going to get locked up, but that's all right. There's still plenty of cover. He should be safe. He won't get onto the site, though. Leaf cleans up Penny. Spike still hasn't been planted. And again, you find yourself, Dan, in the spot where you're towing. I mean, you're dangerously flirting with the clock.
They really want C9 to use the lockdown. They really want C9 to use the lockdown, but C9 are going to just hold on to that. That's actually so amazing.
All right,
it's
so
such
tell
a
me,
weird spot.
Yeah, Dan, break that down for me. What is it? What were they looking for there?
I mean, in spots like this, you're really thinking about the ult economy. Both teams are pretty even on the ults, and so it's a case of, as you were saying, is there a lockdown? Is there a Hunter's Fury to counter the lockdown? Is there a lockdown for a lockdown? And so on. So, both teams are trying to kind of min-max in these kinds of situations, and you can see Mitch was fairly close to feeling like he had to use his lockdown for a while, but he managed to hold on to it. And version 1 got to a point where they lost so many players, then they're thinking to themselves, okay, well, at least maybe we can try to make an argument for them to burn some ults to win this round. But C9, they were confident they didn't do that, and they're 5-2 up now, still holding on to a lot of ults, but as of version 1.
And the tricky thing is, too, V1, again with this weird buy, right, where you've got a couple Spectres but pistols the rest of the way.
And look at this mid push, Doug. We have all the info here for C9 too.
Again, man, Leaf has just been really a thorn in their side as he continues to just waltz his way up the middle of the map, and he's going to be in a great spot here. Oh, but the turret's going to give him away. Cosmic Divide still comes out, and Leaf just has to back up. Again, remember, folks, this is a pistol coming out from V1, and it certainly goes as you would expect. As Zeta just mows them down, it's open season on V1 players as Cloud9 gets to 6.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And it's having the defense that they wanted. But if we cast our minds back to the first map, I want to say this was the scoreline exactly by this round in the first half as well, but just the other way around. Flip version 1 and we're ahead on their defense as well. So it's going to be interesting to see the adaptations coming through here. And we do get a tactical pause, just as I say that as well, to see exactly what version 1 can do. And there's definitely multiple purposes for pauses like this as well. If you feel like the other team is really running hot, you can, as the Bears would always say, I think he took this terminology from football. I wouldn't know because I only watch esports. I have no idea about sports, traditional sports, but icing the kicker is the term. And and so that's sometimes what it's about. But also at the same time, they want to try to make the correct adaptations. And sometimes taking these tag pauses allows you to extract all of the info from all of your teammates. Maybe some of the more quiet ones who may have spotted some tactical tells that will be helpful for you as well. And we can see that we might even get an aggressive play from C9 on defense. This is actually a good way to, like, if you see someone making attack pause, you can try to just throw a wrench into the works by just being very aggressive. And they're actually giving up the A site, perhaps in anticipation that there will be a push there, and instead they're opting for that B main control. This has worked out wonderfully, Doug, because C9 have so much info right now. And here comes the push from Zelsis with the run it back, but look, it's a retake setup. They get the site by design.
Yeah, and it's so hard to follow, right? Because of the gravity well, because of the nano swarm, it was really hard for them to follow up that run it back. Now Zeta's going to use 100's Fury. It's going to get traded out by Effie's as well, as the spike is not gone down, waiting for the ultimates to clear out. Showstopper's going to join the fray as well, as Penny just narrowly misses, not able to connect anything. The spike has made its way onto the site, but there's not enough room for it to go down. They're stuck down in hell. Poise is able to pick Vanity off. Poise looking for more. He's got the Blade Storm. He dashes his way across. Zeta's getting one as well. A 3v2 in favor of Cloud9. As the spike is in a brutal spot, Dan. There's nobody within sniffing distance of it. They're not even in the same zip code.
Oh, so beautiful. It's like this perfect trap. You know, it's a retake setup. Cloud9, it was a good guess. You know, they go for the B main push, and that's key as well. Not just the retake setup, because of that early information that allows Cloud9 to have the anticipation, have the positions that they need to, for example, execute the Hunter's Fury in such a way that it delays the spike from getting planted, and then it creates chaos. No one can take defensive positioning on the site, and all they have is A main into the site. And so at that precise moment, Cloud9 can collapse on version 1. Just trying to, scrambling around in bad positions. So just such a great round from Cloud9, and they are rewarded here because just like it was happening so much to them, the economy is broken for version 1. They're on the pistols, and I think Cloud9 learned their lesson, or at least I would hope so. And they're not giving any easy jewels here to the Sheriffs, but there is at least a trade.
It wasn't easy, but they got it. Poise on the side. I mean, Dan?
Oh no, he dashed into the nades, I think. It happens. We've all been there.
A couple of kills traded either which way. There's 1 minute left in the round. Version 1 makes their way onto the site. It looks like they're going to get the spike down as well. But you still, even with that in mind, you have to lean towards Cloud9 and the gun advantage they have here. Cosmic Divide comes out. A couple of Leers are going to follow as well, as it seems like Cloud9 refused to leave any sort of an inch for B1 to work their way in, and well, there it goes. But Vanity not able to make any magic happen with his Sheriff. Cloud9's going to get the defuse as well. They're going to get to 8-2. And Dan, break that down for me, because in a situation like that, knowing they have the gun advantage, knowing they had the numbers advantage, Floppy investing a key ultimate and getting that Cosmic Divide online to secure the round for Cloud9.
Yeah, I think that is, it's partly because if you especially don't know the post-plant positions and there's no smokes remaining, if you can get rid of that A main position, it makes the site take significantly easier, because there's only 2 spots really to worry about. It's like some of these close range positions on the site, and then those players playing off of other attackers who are playing from A main. So if you get rid of A main and just have to worry about side players, it just really divides the jobs up nicely.
That was pretty. That was pretty. First op we see online. Really, this map, if I'm not mistaken, this is also, by golly, Dan, we've done it. We found ourselves in a full rifle round, and there's an operator in the fray as well. Now, I mean, Delsis has already been dropped at the hands of Poise. What can V1 do here?
Yeah, that's the great thing about the op coming through for the first time. You don't necessarily expect some of those angles to be as dangerous as they are, and Thief is in trouble, stuck by Pizza, gets taken down, and that's forward ground gained, and equalizing the numbers is going to be very good for version 1. They got a minute to play with still. They got that mid control. They're working on catwalk control and tree control, and with that said, it does put the emphasis here for C9 to find out what's going on. They need to get some info, and so they've actually grouped up towards mid to get that information, and now they worked out what's happening. The running of V1 tells them everything.
Oh man, and they just walk into choke points, right? The gravity wells, the nano swarms, there's so much utility there that delays entry, and then Poise from the top rope with the Blade Storm getting one, gets a second as well, 3 on the round. As he's looking for more, Effie's manages to get the spike down. Poise going aggressively. Effie drops, it doesn't work. Penny gets him, but then gets cleaned up right back at the hands of Zeta. As Cloud9 win another one, it seems like they can do no wrong right now, Dan.
so sick because I do wonder if Boyce doesn't hit that ridiculous flick with the knives. That's got to be in the running for the aimlab flick of the day. That's so insane. I can't wait to see that one again because that extra kill makes all the difference. I mean, oh
Yeah, that's dirty.
that is so important against Whippy because it went down to the last man. So there you go, like Poise just squeezing out just enough, and let's not forget the impact early on with the operator. So that's also another thing, right? The operator is going to also create a lot of fear and conditioning early round. You don't want to be peeking that mid spot again. So that gives a lot of kind of artificial control. Like Poise does not have to stand there for his presence from the previous round to still be kind of empowering in that sense.
Oh. Early Hunter's Fury use, not just to clear space, not just to get info, but to secure a kill as well. You hear the Empress has come online as well. V1 have taken control of B. The spike's going to show up just a bit late. Vanity sniffing it out, right? Playing the sniffer this round for his team as V1 get onto the site. FVs gets the spike down.
This is looking great for version 1. You know, 5v3 post plant. You know, this site, you can operate pretty well on the site as long as there's not an excess of post plant utility. However, given the fact that this is going to be the last round and we've got, okay, the Hunter's Fury is gone. That would have been a huge factor. And what do you do against this? The rocket stopper, the show stopper, whatever it's called. it's stopping something, and that's going to be Cloud9 on that retake attempt. So nothing doing.
No, man, and how many, I think you and I have touched on this a couple of times, Dan, is when you see a showstopper in a situation like that, like the fun flashy thing is blast pack your way into somebody's lap and blow them up and light up the kill feed and you know what have you, but you find yourself in situations like that where the only thing they can do, as you said, is just wait, right? Like you can't aggressively work into that, and that serves as like a lockdown in a sense that you have to respect it. You have to wait it out. You have to get that offline before you move any closer.
Yeah, and the power of delay is so extremely important in a game that's so much based around timing and information and position. And, you know, we have the side swapping, and version 1 at least gave themselves something to work from. So we'll see if they're able to do a good job here on this pistol round against Cloud9. And of course, they will be playing on the defense instead. And we see Cloud9, you know, going for that split, that favored B split. However, they are going to get rid of some utility mid. And again, as always is the rule, they don't have to commit to it just yet. And there's a push in A main. So I think their hand is going to be forced there one way or the other by version 1.
They're either going to have to push through the aggression that finds themselves up cat, or they're going to have to rotate away. Leaf has already dropped. The damage has been dealt. Zelsis can back off. Understanding Cloud9 feels the pressure. They don't have very many choices. They have to go to B here.
Yeah, I do like the extra detail that Penny was not spotted crossing top mid. So if they do go back, he would be he would get a free kill. But as you say, there's not really a good option here at all at this point for Cloud9. Version 1 know exactly what's coming. They got all of the information. It's just a case of hitting the shots. And as they go through the smoke, it looks like that should be what's happening. But I think I've been sent a wrong script here because this is looking way better for version 1 than I expected.
Zeta gets the spike down, but the thing is, Dan, look at how low their health bars are. You look at them funny. Mitch drops. Poise follows shortly thereafter. They're going to have to pull a miracle out of their hats, and it's certainly not going that way. But Zeta, what kind of magic do you have in you? Not enough to make this round go in favor of Cloud9. V1 win the pistol. They're going to get the defuse as well, and now they find themselves in a spot where they can really capitalize on this from a financial perspective and make it a competitive second half.
I'm looking to see if we'll get a force buy here, because that is what we saw version 1 do in the first half in I think almost an identical position. I was going to say identically similar, but of course that would be bad English. So I guess I have to scrap that one for now. But it looks like C9 will, in fact, be doing the sensible thing with that lead, as you mentioned. And it's important to respect that lead and try to maximize the amount of buy rounds. And just, we do have the Sheriff on Leaf. We all know how devastatingly good he is with it. And your objective in a round like this is to try to find damage. And you can
Right.
do that in a multiple ways. If you're not thinking about trying to get the spike down and win the round, you can just work at it point by point. Find that opening pick and take some position to get that pick. And they're getting so much space because they don't want to mess with these pistols, Doug.
Yeah, they don't, and I don't blame them. Plus, if you can just mow them down like that without giving the Sheriff an opportunity, or the Classic an opportunity, that's certainly the advised way to go. Of stark contrast to how we saw the round play out when the roles were reversed.
All right, much more standard beginning to this half, I would say, and we get the bonus buy coming through from C9, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly
Right here.
the impact this Odin has. The Odin is so insane on this map, and we're going to see it's going to start off with that typical pressure on the main. Version 1, sorry, I think I said that C9 had the Spectres, but version 1 of the Spectres and the bonus. It's going to be interesting to see like how they want to try to maximize the usage of that. They know they're up against better weapons. Normally a team would be somewhat encouraged to try to mitigate the weaponry disadvantage by taking some initiative, forcing some fights that are good for you. But right now they're just playing the information game. They're giving up B, playing retake on that, letting Cloud9 clear all these positions, and playing very defensively.
With that, Cloud9 is able to take the middle of the map. You mentioned them playing defensively. It's not just the middle of the map. By golly, Dan, they've exploited everything. Mitch is going to get one as well. Leaf looking to add to the stats, and he does just that. As he's gotten to 3 rounds, Penny, good to trade it out. But, man, he's in a 1v4. Now, the one thing worth mentioning, Poison and Mitch are both weak, but they have a decent idea of where Penny's coming from, and if they didn't before, they certainly do now.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for version 1 getting caught so desperately off guard there, and that is part and parcel of having no information at that timing in the rounds. You know, you just don't know what's coming and or where to have your players, like what you should be covering. And so that's unfortunate for C9. I would have wanted to see some aggression, because at that point, you know, you've got worse weapons, you've got worse information, you've got worse positioning. You know, you have to try to take something back.
Right.
And so that's the unfortunate aspect there, is that it would appear that C9 were just moving at too quick of a timing. Beautiful from Leaf. And Cloud9, they're looking so strong here on Ascent.
All right, but now the thing worth mentioning is that was V1's bonus, right? So they were able to win the pistol the following round, and then the bonus, and Cloud9 got away with a couple of players as well, so they're going to be fine as far as weaponry goes. They're also a bit closer to having a couple of key ultimates online. Leaf certainly does have his Empress in tow, but now V1, it's this weird, right? Like, they've got a couple of Bulldogs, Vanities at light armor, so they're in a position of strength. Certainly not where they'd like to be.
Yeah, we have a trap set up here by by version 1 as well in mid. So what they're expecting is like a kind of early to mid round timing from the default of Cloud9, where they will try to clear mid. So there was a trap set up for that timing around the 1 minute mark in that mid position. But you can see that Cloud9 just trying to focus on B main. They sort of run it straight in, Doug, and I don't think that was expected by version 1 at all.
No, Effie's was there. He spotted a little bit, but he backed off. Just, I mean, being comfortable to give up the space and rather push yourself in from a position where you've got more numbers than you would have otherwise. Mitch, once again, playing that cheeky little spot across the middle of the map, very similar to how we saw him playing Haven. But Dan, this is going to be a bloodbath, a 5v5 for the site. V1 looking to work their way in to retake this thing, but you've got to clear B long out, right? Like, you can't leave this area of the map alone or you're just gonna get picked to shreds just like that. Leaf good for 2, gets a 3rd. Penny trades it out. Oh, and this went absolutely sideways for V1. Cloud9 hold fast to the site. They get the round, and they get one step closer to extending the series to map 3.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And again, just you could see that Version 1 were expecting something different. And so just in that sense, Cloud9 are calling a good game because
Yeah.
you know, these are seasoned teams. These are very experienced players and in-game leaders. And so, you know, Cloud9, for them to, you know, consistently be picking some of these options that are not anticipated by Version 1, so Version 1 not having the correct opening to deal with it, is definitely a huge win. And Version 1, you know, in the doldrums right now, you know, on these Spectres, we've got a Judge on Vanity. Obviously, that is the best gun in the game, but
Guaranteed.
other than that, you know, they've got a bunch of Spectres and the Phantom. So we'll see exactly if they're able to do anything else here. But I am concerned with the way that they've been playing so passively because this lack of information is being abused and exploited
Oh, that's
by
good.
C9.
You love the setup, right? Like the design was there. They knew what they were looking for. They get the info, the gravity well into the showstopper. Hopefully strike gold. But there was just nothing there. The ult didn't connect.
And again, we hit this like 1 minute mark and no info, no vision for Version 1. They don't know where to set up. They're kind of pulling towards this A side of the map here.
Drone.
Or actually, it's kind of 2-1-2. So again, yeah, don't really know what's happening, but we have the drone to try to find out. And that should be enough info. They might have to gamble a rotation off of that little information that they have. But at the same time, oh, the fake is coming through. It's so smart from C9.
Boys, is just going to draw attention, and it's not just attention. Zelsis uses the ultimate, right? But look at how much it has been invested that way. Now they realize the veil has been lifted, right? They know that that's not where the play is, but Vanity was there with the judge. No, he was the last line of defense. He gets cleaned up. Penny drops as well, as Cloud9 have full access onto the site. Is he gonna? Surely not. All right, V1, they have some numbers, right? And they have a couple of weapons. That's really all they've got going for him. Zeta's in a great spot. Has the Hunter's Fury too, but he's playing on the site, and so far so good. Good for one, good for a second one as well. Effie gets cleaned up. Cloud9 at map point.
They're looking so good. And Doug, you know, we can frame it this way. You know, what is the best thing to do? One of the best things or strongest things to do against a team that doesn't have information? Well, it's going to be a fake, and it's because a fake is about giving information, making it look like something. If they don't have any information to the contrary, and they're also in a position of disadvantage, they actually have to go with that. They almost have to go with that little information that they have, and unless you're faking, you know, every other round or so. But Cloud9 again just abusing the information game so massively in this half that Version 1 they're just always playing from behind.
To quote John Travolta, it's misdirection. What the eyes see and the ears hear, the mind believes. The lockdown has been used early on. Poise gets a kill onto Penny as well. It's just really clearing up the middle of the map.
Nowhere to run.
All right, Hunter Fury's gonna come out as well from Zeta. And he's gonna land the kill as well. As Cloud9 just like systematically, just slowly but surely pick apart the remaining members of Cloud9 to put this map away. Leaf's good for one as well through the smoke. Zelsis and Vanity, the last two members that remain, they weren't even on the site. Now they're gonna show up, and they're working their way into a 2v4. And a difficult one at that, Dan.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Vanity might be able to do something with the Cosmic Divide. We'll have to see. Ooh. All right, well, that's it. That's all she wrote for map 2. Cloud9 are going to be able to equalize the series, and they're going to be able to do it in maybe even more dominant fashion than they lost the first map, and that surely is going to signal a lot of strength for them going into this third and final deciding map.
And like, man, we talked about it, right? There's something in the water this weekend where a team can absolutely bully another team on one map, put up a highlight performance, really run a masterclass on how to play a map. And then it's like everything just switches, right? And all of a sudden they get a taste of their own medicine and things go absolutely the other way. That's exactly what we saw. I don't think the score was as indicative, or excuse me, the score did not accurately represent just how dominant of a performance that was. And I think you can make a very compelling argument to that Haven was the same thing, right? 13-5, 13-6 doesn't tell the story. When these two teams are playing from a position of comfort, they look terrifying.
Oh yeah, definitely agree. And the only thing that's concerned me so far in terms of like where these teams haven't matched up super well is it really was just that last half. But at that point, there already wasn't that much to work with because the first half did not go to version one's game plan really at all.
Yeah.
And then going into that defensive side, they really seemed not to have answers to get the information. And this is actually something that I think a lot of teams struggle with on Ascent. It is requiring of a masterful approach in game plan to really know how to like lock down the info in the early round and the mid round and do it efficiently. And we saw what happens when you're playing an the attacking side and you know what you're doing. You get to punish that so massively. Yeah. Cloud9 has such a free roam of the map. They could do whatever they want. The rotations never seem to be it always seemed to be that Version 1 had to gamble with them. They never had enough info to piece together how they should be setting up. So that was like it made them look quite lost for the first time in this series for me. But going into the final map, I'm sure that will be a very different story.
Reykjavik on the line. 2 teams, 1 spot, and 1 map to decide who's going. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned.